Hey, Diasan here. I bring you episode 10 of the Day and Night podcast. We finally hit double digits, and what better occasion than it is to have my co-host not be here. But we have our two guests this week. We have Myxzyzz and we have Rising.
Hey, I'm Myxzyzz. Call me Myx.
Hey, it's Rising again. Always happy to be here and talk about Mass for the Dead.
Okay, so let's jump right into this. We'll be talking about Global for the second last time before this ship kind of sinks. But let's talk about what positive things going on, right? So we've got a lot of things going on because they're trying to jam as much content in this last month. We have Battle Arena, we have the Nazarick Resurrection Plan 1, 2, and 3, and then we have banners with a bunch of units. Let's just talk about the events first. So what do you guys think of Battle Arena?
Well, Battle Arena is, it's meant to be the challenge and to bring your best units, Chaos Relics. This time around, it's been largely a rerun. I think it's 3 or 4 of them, but they've introduced the 3 new ones that weren't in Global before. That's versus 6 Arms, versus Pleiades, and versus Empire. Pleiades is probably the most difficult, I would say. Versus Empire's not too difficult if you just AoE blast everything, and 6 Arms is kind of moderate, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you finding it?
So I think that you kind of, if you're as a player, you're gonna need some pretty good units here to get through most of these if you want to complete them. Especially with versus Pleiades, you're going to need solid DPS. You're going to need consistent and efficient healing. You can probably get by without a tank here on that one, but I mean, you're going to need, like I said, probably top tier units, if not A tier or better, I would say, for completing that one. Versus Empire is just a little kind of weird in there because that one, again, like I said, is just a single wave. It's 4, 5 enemies, I think it is. And you, like I said, you can just AoE them all down without a healer. So, yeah.
I'm wondering, have you been using any of the units that they released recently, since the game shut down or announced it shut down, or have you been getting by with units you had before then?
Mostly units I've been using before, for sure. That's a good question. I tried a couple times with some of the units that I wanted to use, like for example, I'm gonna mispronounce his name, but Kyoku, right? The cockroach king.
Yeah.
He's terrible though.
Yeah.
He can't do anything.
He's not that great in JP either.
Yeah, but I figured he had, he's a stun, so maybe that could work. But nah, that didn't work. I did try the Albedo Sleepy Time one that has that AoE darkness ability. Not really. Not. I mean, the Christmas version's just better. So there's real no use on that. I don't have any of the Yukata units, so I can't speak to those, unfortunately. I've tried, I've rolled a bunch, but I just haven't gotten any of them.
You're not really missing out on that one.
I don't think any of them were that good.
Nope. Pretty cute though, but nothing gameplay wise good.
And I think a lot of the, this is just sort of what I'm thinking in my head. I would have to obviously be checked or verified on this, but I think a lot of the newer units are all of enhancers. There's really not many tanks. There's a couple healers, a couple attackers, but they're mostly all enhancers, which are good. But I think at this point, Global already has some really good enhancers, and obviously the Sobin, the King of Darkness, Momonga, as well as, of course, Pure White Santa Albedo. So, we already kind of got those top tier units before, so yeah, I mean, it's slim pickings, I think, with some of these new or limited release units.
Yeah, I'll say some of the only good ones that were able to come through near the end, I would say, is Summer Evil Eye as a single target DPS, and then sporadically everyone else is kind of just so.
Yeah, that's true.
I was surprised to see Bath Albedo come through. I just wasn't expecting that unit to be there.
What was that? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I wasn't expecting them to bring over Bath Albedo.
Like the spa one, yeah.
Oh
Spa
yeah,
one, yeah.
right. Yeah, the healer version, right?
Yep.
With the water. Yeah, I mean, I think there probably was a podcast where you guys talked about her before, maybe, but she very situational. Not really sure when I would use her, to be honest, especially over again the queen of all that is for most things is the pure white Santa, in my opinion. So
Yeah, it just lets you have some really good overdrive cheesing strats, I'd say, the
yeah.
spa battle, but that's kind
Yeah,
of it.
I know Mug swears by her because that's his only healer he has in JP. And I guess he said he mainly uses the overdrive heal, having her charge her own overdrive.
Yeah. Alright.
But yeah, the only other one thing I'll just kind of finish up on that at least is I think that there's with the rewards being just sort of achievements that are rainbow colored, it's at this point where there's kind of an end in sight, I don't think there's a whole lot of players that if you're struggling, it's like, okay, oh well, right, game's going to be over in a couple weeks, so it doesn't really matter. So I don't know, that's a little bit of conjecture on my part, but I think there needs to be a little bit more of an incentive to complete them, other than maybe just saying I did it or something like that. But again, that's sort of my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like what more can they give you? Stones?
Right.
Yeah, there's probably nothing left. Speaking of getting stones, right? Nazarick Resurrection Plan, 1, 2, and 3 gives you stones for clearing them. Then we have also a large amount of stones in achievements, and we also have it in the shop as well, right? Where you can exchange medals for stones.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're like I don't know if you'd say Crunchyroll, but basically, I mean, they're giving them away like candy at this point. Again, with the end kind of in sight here, it doesn't really matter. I have seen a couple more 100 luck units as well when I've been in multiplayer, which is pretty dead already, but nevertheless, I have seen a couple, mostly of the OG units, but I think also that's all comes from the scrolls too that were given out at some point.
Given out, when you able to buy one of them?
Yeah, you can buy them, but they were rewards for progressive rewards for I want to say it was Battle Arena actually too. I think
Oh.
I think one of them, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, I think one of them was the first one that you got earlier in the progress was the for Chaos Relic, and the other one was for a character. But again,
Yeah.
it's from the limited or not the limited pool, it's from the generic pool.
It's still a nice thing to have.
Yep.
I always wanted a 100 luck unit eventually. I had my Lacus at 55 buck.
Oh, nice.
Alright. So, yeah. I also say so. All these stones are giving us, they're giving us all these banners to pull on. Right now, we have the banner up with all of the seasonal units, right? And then I saw in news we're getting a final NazFest banner to pull on, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So even though we get all these new units to play with, some of them are actually not as strong as the JP versions, right? Because we have Enri and the Emperor coming out, or they're already out, but they don't have intimacy, right? Because you can't grind that within a reasonable amount of time, so I don't think they included it at all. So that's a bit weaker by like 20% attack and defense.
Yeah.
Did Global ever get intimacy relics?
No.
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 Yeah, I guess that contributes to it.
Yeah, that's Data Live as best.
Yeah, that was like every collab had a. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the investigation missions, which were added a while back now in global, at least I know you obviously get intimacy from those, but I think that you would still be, let's see here. So if you did do, let's see here, story, story, multiplayer, investigation. So that's you'd get 30 points from there, and then if you hit them all 4 times a day, that would be for a maximum of 70, I think, per day.
Yeah.
And I think even still, you would still be well short for the newer units.
Yeah, that's a shame, but what can you do, right?
Yeah.
So the new units were brought over without intimacy, since I guess there was no point, and I guess it saved them from having to translate the intimacy lines. But we did notice that Bloody Emperor Jersin, he actually came over with like with a different kit. Like his overdrive is significantly weaker than in JP. So I just thought that was an odd choice.
Yeah, they toned down some of the numbers. But like at this point, I have nothing else to say about like the decisions on bringing units over. It's like, yes, we nerfed a unit, but no one's going to complain because the game is ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost makes it weird then that like I mean if they're just bringing units over with a copy and paste job, why aren't they identical?
I don't know. Maybe they're bringing over like some early beta of units, right? Like just like information before they kind of got like fine tuned. But that's a speculation on my part.
I will say that I did pull on the limited banner. I just came in and used all my stones, and I just got like a bunch of relics. So scammed until the end.
Yeah, that's a oof, my dude.
I think they did bump the rates for both characters and Chaos Relics on that one, right? I think.
Yeah, I think so far like it's like been all limited relics, both new ones that I haven't seen and old ones. But yeah.
I'm actually looking at the banner right now. Yeah, it looks like this new one that just started, I think yesterday, I believe. Looks like it is all new relics. I don't see like Symbol of the Guild or anything like that, and they're all both at the regular summon rates, as they're called, are 5% for both character and Chaos Relics. I mean, that's better than before, but again, it's all sort of a death march anyway, because it's going to be all deleted here basically in about 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a shame, but we just kind of gotta bite the bullet, keep moving on. Move to JP maybe if you're willing to. But I think yeah, that's it.
5% for characters and like 30 pulls and still didn't get a character. Nice.
Yeah, rates are depressing, my dude. What can I say? You want to move on to our next topic, which is JP, right? Okay. Alright, so JP, we have ReZero event going on right now. A lot of good stuff. Got more stones. Included in the ReZero event is the ReZero Battle Zone, just like Tanya had one. 3 levels plus the introduction level. And then we have some new units as well. We also have the return of the ReZero units. So Rem, Ram, Amelia are all in banners. And then we have 2 cosplay collab units, which are Aura and Mare, which are dressed as Ram and Rem. So let's dig deep into that one. You guys you guys do the ReZero event / Battlezone?
Yeah, I've done both, so I can speak to it. The RE0 event, I believe it's just a rerun of the original RE0 event.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. The undead, it's like not a big deal, especially after we've already got Battle Zone. So as for the Battle Zone itself, the introduction bronze and silver are not much. Actually, bronze is quite nice for farming because it's just one wave of 4 units, so you can just bring your AoE spammers to just kill it. The gold is it's quite hard. I don't think it's as hard as previous Battle Arena golds, but this is the first Battle Arena that I've had like a really competitive DPS unit. So I'm not really sure if it's because I have better units or because it is easier. If I could just briefly go through it, the first wave is against a pedal geese that revives 5 times at full health, and he likes to spam AoE. He's immune to dark damage and resistant to poison, but he can still be status. So a good way to take him out is to debuff him and put like poison on him or something that's damage over time, and then just sort of whittle him down. In the second wave, you have Ara, who can build up 8 stacks of evasion, making her very hard to hit. And she also hits pretty hard with AoE. But you also have a Mare that can heal and regen himself and other units. So you've kind of got like you've kind of stuck between two hard choices. Like, do you kill Aura first before she gets the evasion stacks up, or do you kill Marm first? Because once he starts healing, it's very hard to put him down. Can somehow get through that. Then on the last wave, there's just Ram, and Amelia. And there's nothing. Rem can heal quite a bit, and she's pretty tanky with the regen. But otherwise, there's nothing like special here aside from Amelia and Ram being able to hit very hard. So if you got past the previous wave, the last wave should be doable. If I can, I guess I'll cover the units later. Yep. So that's my take on the R0 event.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, do you think having a health reduction unit like Nazarick Momon would help the healing regen? You think that just make it a cakewalk with 80% reduction?
On the one hand, yeah, that would be, that would be really useful. But my only concern there is if these units still have a lot of health, so I'm wondering if like a unit like Nazmomon can still meet the sort of DPS check requirements. I did kind of notice that in the past few battle zones that there's like there was a shift to like an evasion meta. So having units with aim and all that is good, but also there's been like these soft DPS checks with units that can like build up stacks of evasion or like buff over time, so you're incentivized to like kill them as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, here's a pretty good like defense and speed debuff on his kit as well. So like, I don't think Nazmomon is complete dead weight. With but anyways, yeah, I think overall the event's pretty fun. I like having like a bit of difficulty content sprinkled within just the regular rerun of the event. I was gonna say we can talk about some of the units now, which would be the twins, right? So we have Aura, which is kind of like I can't say better Ram, but like a Ram plus, and then Mare, which is like a Rem plus, right? So Mare has a single target heal that puts 2 stacks of regen onto them as well, and then that's like the only, like I'd say, like notable different thing. They also has single target shield stacks to dodge a magical attack, if I'm correct, and then just like some damage, right?
Yeah. I think my assessment from looking at Marem, I guess it's called, he's a decent tank. All 3 of his skills are good, and they have like decent synergy. Like the 3 MP with a shield also gives 50% recovery. So if you then put regen on a unit, they'll regen for more. And his 3 MP attack also has -2 hit, so that's good for getting the enemy to miss. And the only issue there is because all 3 skills are good and all 3 are 3 MP. You're kind of like choosing where to use his MP.
Yeah, I think most of the time it'd just be used as a healer, and then the other 2 skills are just like luxury that you normally don't have the time to use. At best, you could probably set up a defensive shield on someone, and then get into like serious healer mode.
Or in like an emergency situation, you just put the aim debuff on an enemy.
He'd be pretty useful too for like the JP version of the Abyss Portal Power Undead, right? Because he's got that big flame resistance, I think, correct? And you'd need a healer for that, for the increased difficulty ones at least.
Yeah.
Or am I totally off base on that?
No, it's like normally for like all the Abyss stuff, you just bring like a tank and a healer, and you could just like steamroll like that kind.
Yeah. I've been doing all of them with Naofumi with Doll, and then just bring your AoE unit.
Yeah, okay. So it's pretty much like a tank of a regen relic, and like you can just clear it with free TPS, so it's no big issues.
Right.
Yeah. Then Aura is kind of like Ram plus. She has that wind nuke at 4 MP, which is a bit more expensive than the 3 MP Ram one has. Ram has that shred, but Aura has that AoE. So that's kind of a difference. I think Aura is one of the better 4 MP AoE farmers in the game now with her amp up on her 4 MP. And then she has a lot more attack. But like I said, Ram has that shred on her first single and that kind of decent damage on her third skill.
The devs must be listening to our podcasts because I remember one of the earlier ones we've been talking about how there's not too many units who have wind abilities, and since then there's been like probably 4 or 5 that have been introduced that have wind. It used to be pretty rare. It's still not common, I would say, but I mean they're definitely adding wind units.
Yeah.
Feeling important.
We've had like Choco Yuri, we've had now Oram, and then like Ram came back, so another chance for people to get another wind unit. So it's not just kind of Philo sitting on top anymore. Things got shooken up quite a bit. We also recently got announced in the news section that we have a second year anniversary version of Nabro and Solution. So Nabro is a lightning nuker unit, best way to describe her, and then Solution is a single target bleed doll killing nuker, right? So what's your guys' impressions on these two units?
I think looking at Dress Nabrol, I guess that's what I'm going to call her. I think we finally have that like really good thunder element attacker that's also hard. So it's sort of like optimal typing and element. Yeah, the 6 MP is like pretty expensive. Like even it does a massive amount of damage, but it is 6 MP. But even if you could ignore that, her 3 MP and 4 MP are like that's sort of like the gold standard you'd expect from an AOE / single target unit. And she's got some pretty strong passives, so it's just a very strong thunder element unit all around.
Yeah, I mean it's Narberl, so kind of more of the same in my opinion, at least with the thunder typing at least. But I mean, just like Mick said, I mean I'd say her kit's probably a little bit better. I'm looking at the percentages than like obviously her swimsuit version. It looks like. Not that that's yeah, not that that's a hard bar to clear, but I mean, with Narberl, to me, again, at least in the game, I mean, it's kind of more of the same, but definitely a replacement, and I think the typing with hard again, as Mick said, is good for her on that one.
And the self buffing on the 3 MP, that's very nice.
Yep.
I think we'll move our gaze towards Solution, and this seems like a very specialized kit. I think having multi-hit with Bleed is really strong, just like PDL has proven. Bleed is a very strong status, especially when you can proc it on not an overdrive, right? And yeah, I think she has her uses as a unit overall.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how we recently got a lot of units that sort of very focused on overdrive. So I guess the ways that you could use her MP is either you would use the 4 MP, which is like a very powerful 6 hits, with a chance to bleed. You could also just use the 2 MP over and over again to charge her OD to get to that also very powerful OD with 25% bleed, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'm curious with like all the focusing on the doll killing. I mean, does it seem like there's some sort of theme with this? Am I missing something?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
I think even just from looking at people might be suspicious. Like, are they just gonna release some content where it's just a really tough dude that's a doll type, and that's the reason why it exists?
Man. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. I was gonna say, like, I don't mind having specialist type units because we've already had Nazarick Shoutier be kind of one where she's an undead shining killer, right? So it's nice because like big bosses get nuked down really hard if they're undead, especially if they're int and weak to shining, right? So I don't mind having kind of other units be kind of strong in one specific area.
Even like the doll killing aside, her 4 MP is like something like 234% total. So she's still like a very strong single target neutral damage unit, like on comparable with Myxzyzz, I guess.
Yeah, it's still good. It's kind of like how we recently had gotten Kurumi, who was a like humanoid killer, right? So like we also have she's also like a really strong general unit, but like once you kind of like focus in on what she's good against, her damage kind of spikes up immensely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the stun you get from that as well. Like she's like a big stun machine if you're facing humanoid enemies.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
While we're on units, I would like to briefly touch on Slimeko,
Yeah.
who released. I know you guys talked about him on the tier list, but now that she's released and I've gotten her hands around for testing, so I used Slimeko as my DPS for RE0 Undead and the Battle Arena. I know leading up to her release, there were some people who were sort of like not really sure on the kit. So when she first came out, we did testing and we can confirm that like at worst, her 3 MP like before any debuffs, like that should match or surpass Naz Clem for on neutral for damage. So her 3 MP is confirmed, just like really powerful. So if that's all you use her for, she's still like an S tier attacker. What I have found in Undead and particularly in Battle Arena Gold, where I really relied on it, is the 4 MP to poison and then 5 MP poison killer combo is like incredibly powerful, especially when you pair it with a defense debuffer like your AoE debuffer is going. So on Battle Arena Gold, there are some enemies like the Mare and the Red who can regen and heal, and trying to just attack them normally and try to will them down, I actually couldn't. I couldn't hurt them fast enough to outpace their healing. So what I actually found that actually works is you just sit there and charge Slimeko back to 9 MP, then poison and hit them with the 5 MP, and that can do up to like 150k damage on the 5 MP, and that'll just like kill the unit in 2 turns. And like I found that like really useful, and I actually like did that, just sat there and charged back to 9 MP on the last wave, and did that combo to all of the last wave. And you can even do it with her overdrive too. So it's like you can do that combo, then charge to 4, and then poison killer with the OD as well. So yeah, her placement as a like a top of S tier attacker, I would say, is justified.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even just look at her. I mean, we've already gone through the kit there, which is really, really good. But I mean, just even her base stats for, HP, offense, defense, speed, those are pretty high for, and actually it's funny because, when you go through the story, right, it's kind of implied that Slimeko and you or your character, right, are weak and kind of useless, and you need the other guardians to help you and stuff, and yet here she is sitting basically at top tier. So
the whole time that the derpy looking Slimeko is just like
yeah.
nuking dudes left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say even against like Beetlejuice in the first wave, he's resistant to poison damage, but he can still be poisoned, and the 4 MP is guaranteed to apply poison if they're not immune or resistant, and it's 15%, so it's on par with like bleed and burn, so that's good damage over time. And then you can just normal hit him because her 40% attack passive and her 8.3k attack is like massive.
Yeah, good unit. Yeah, as someone who made the tier list and maybe posted a almost 3 hour long video about it, I agree. Her placement is very appropriate at the top of S. Definitely one of the premium single target DPS units you've got in the game right now. I was gonna say,
So I was just lacking DPS before this, so Slimeko's like a lifeline in the game through me.
Oh yeah, no, that is super nice when we get good polls. Hopefully we keep getting good polls in the future, especially for the speculatively new content. We're gonna move on to our leak section that we have every once in a while in this podcast, because the good people on the Discord server have been dropping little breadcrumbs about things coming up, such as a supposed new raid about a giant doll type power enemy, and then a lot of speculation about who it is. But as you see on screen, I've got our boy Gargantua, and the new solution looks like the premium unit to nuke him down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing I will comment on is people who are coming from global to JP. JP raids tend not to have such extreme elemental weakness. So in global raids, we had most raid bosses like 75% weak to an element, and in some cases 100% weak, so they take double damage. Whilst from leaks, and I guess from previous raids, the most you generally get is like 25%. So having the right element isn't necessarily the most important thing. Like you can get by with just type advantage.
Yep.
Probably.
Yep. So the raid numbers a bit skewed if you're a global player, so it'll be more about on like getting good buffs and debuffs, and all buff caps are different, I think. So definitely making use of the difference in buff caps makes up for the elemental weaknesses. So supposedly this raid is coming out. It is also tied to the speculative information we have about the whole guild system being upgraded, right? Because right now guilds are kind of a shallow pool of like, oh, you make a guild with 20 people, you get rewards by gaining guild points, right? But now it looks like we're gonna have increased guild levels. We're gonna have a item shop. We're gonna have like guild missions to complete, and looks like this raid is gonna be a guild raid. So hopefully, if you don't have a guild now, you join a guild and start contributing, because it looks like there will be some guild rewards in the future tying to this raid. More information will be definitely talked about by the time this hits live. I'm pretty sure a couple of our Overlord YouTubers, myself included, will probably post more information once this goes live. But yeah, besides that, we can kind of just mull about what we think about the upcoming content.
It's definitely good to know about that beforehand, so you can start getting a party ready and start finding a group of whales to help carry you, I guess.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, like, we've learned a few things about this raid, supposedly. Like, this is subject to change, of course, because these are all just kind of leaks, and we're not sure if they're all gonna be 100% true. But this boss is what, weak to poison, lightning, ice, and wind, right? Wind.
Yeah.
So like, how many new units does that hit? The Oram is wind. The Nave is lightning. The solution is doll killing. That's not even an element, right? But that is.
Slimeko is going to slay there.
Yeah, Slimeco's poison. Yeah, so maybe. Did you pull for the new units? Are you gonna pull for the new units? Definitely leave some comments, because I feel like this is baiting people to pull for the solution, right?
Well, yeah, I think like solution would probably be a good get just in general, in the same way that Myxzyzz was a good get.
Yeah, Myxzyzz is always a good pull, in my opinion, but that there may be small biased.
Yeah, at least I appreciate that there's like an with having 4 elemental weaknesses, you at least have some options there of what to run.
Yeah, definitely with that coverage. Like, the only thing that could have been kinder is making it a fire weakness, because there's a lot of fire units. But I think due to like reasons that I'm not gonna say, having fire and ice as a weakness, I think is never really gonna happen, because there's a lot of potential for good damage overlap.
I will say that it also looks like Slimeko is going to show her worth as the raid debuffer, not just because having good damage and the 40% defense debuff, but I think like I noticed that like she has that 40% attack passive. So if you run like Justice on her, you're already getting 60% attack buff. So you're already pretty close to the attack cap already. So what you could do is include her in a team with a Nazarick that is otherwise has like Nazarick and 2 magic DPS. And then you include a Slimeko with Justice, who is like almost already at the attack buff cap. So you're not really like losing out too much damage by putting her in a magic buffing team.
Yeah, though that's definitely a good strat. I was also gonna say, though, like, you also do kind of want like the crit, right? So there's some people who be like, I could just risk it and put Mighty Warrior on instead. Gives you the highest base attack in the game, right? So there's definitely a lot of ways to go about building a raid team. On the Discord server, there's actually a channel going on about now. A lot of people are discussing what's going to be like the optimal kind of team that they can build, or like what relics they should like use. So there's a lot of good discussion going on.
Yeah, I think my general advice to everyone out there is that as a reminder that the defense debuff cap is 75%. So you always want to run like your buffer and a debuffer.
Yeah, it's long gone of the days where in raid I would run like 3 attackers and just like Lachias, right? Simpler
Yeah,
times.
because hitting that defense debuff cap, like, it really adds a lot.
Okay, so I think that's about it for talking about the speculative raid. Anything else you guys want to touch upon in JP or global even?
If we are going to leaks, I think just it's worth mentioning that if if we're speculating about the leaked raid, there was also one unit that we've seen before. The JP put out like an announcement about like a real pay thing, where it's some like point system that you can only have if you live in Japan, and you get points you can do and stuff. But the point is, in the ad for it, they showed 3 units. They showed the dress Nabarel, dress solution, and like an Ainz in a suit with a top hat and cane, like a very dapper looking Ainz.
Yeah.
And I think they have said that that is a unit that's coming up, but is not going to be in a banner. So there's a very real likelihood that he's going to be a raid unit. Um, uh, Everything's subject to change, but it looks like he's going to be like a 6 MP AOE unit with a very, very, very powerful overdrive, and there's like a single target charges overdrive. So he'll probably definitely be a unit that if you can, you definitely want for at OD level 5, just because he'll be a very strong like nuking unit, being able to get his OD back in like 3 turns.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with all kind of like raid units, I think the bar to get OD5 is like generally attainable. But yeah, we'll definitely see if he is going to be a reward unit or not.
I think some rumors were saying like they intentionally priced this guy a bit higher in the raid shop because he's not just a farming unit; he's actually good. So
that's brutal. But I think that's nice to be able to try to earn like the anniversary unit, right?
It's a good change from that like awful 50-50 step up when Nazarick was first released.
Oh right, yeah.
I want that step up either way. Oh, that was brutal. I was so happy when it wasn't like the old one.
For JP, I have to admit it's pretty impressive because without the season 4 of the anime, you would think that eventually they're going to kind of run out of, since the game heavily cribs from the actual animation, right? You'd think that they would eventually sort of run out of ideas, but they keep on coming. So I got to say I'm impressed with that, because I don't think there has been an announcement for season 4 at least, but you know, if it's just the same old Guardians and Nazarick members and different suits and costumes and all that. But on the global side of things, I think the actual last new content is going to be on the 15th of March, and that's just story. Everything else is going to be like a rerun with Chaos Field and everything like that. So it's kind of a somber time if you're a fan of global, in all honesty. But
I'll put the call out again for people to record everything on global. You need to archive that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry. You go ahead.
No, I was thinking this the Overlord wiki, not to be confused with the Overlord Mask for the Dead wiki, has done a really good job of recording a bunch of stuff on global and JP. They're really up to date with it.
Yeah. I was saying on in terms of like speculation as well. So the general trend we've been seeing is that they're rerunning the old collabs with like cosplay units, and I guess like the cynic in me says it was probably easier for them just to like swap the head on the 3D models with like the character. But yeah, well at least like they're wearing new hats with Aura and Mare. But seeing as they buffed the Konosuba units before this, like alongside the RE0 units, we could probably expect a Konosuba rerun coming up next, and possibly 2 Konosuba cosplay units as well. So everyone look forward to that.
Yep.
That would be interesting.
Definitely seems to be in the cards for sure. Yeah. I was gonna say, I think that generally covers everything that's happening in JP and Global. Any last things you guys want to say before we end this show?
I think we've discussed quite a bit here. I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah. I guess that's about it. Remember everyone to not bring deadweight units into lobbies, because I think the extreme for RE0 this time around is like it's not hard, but like if you bring crap units, you will get sucked. So yeah.
I think that's any kind of mobile game is just don't bring dead weight. Okay, so that pretty much it wraps up this week's episode of Day and Night. Thank you all for watching, and I'd like to thank our guests for coming on. I will throw some of the information into the description box below of what they're doing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace.